John is the executive director of the Giraffe Heroes Project, which is a global nonprofit that moves people to stick their necks out for the common good and gives them tools to succeed. Find out more at giraffe.org. Okay, we have with us today John Graham. John, thank you so much for joining us here today on Earrings Off.
I'm delighted to be here, earrings or no.
Well, we're glad to have you. Now, John, I tell you, when we read about you, that quite a lot, quite an accomplished life. And so we just want to talk about that. You've lived several lives as a diplomat, mountaineer, activist, and author. And so, John, when you look back, can you tell us about the moment that first pushed you toward a life of service rather than, seeking personal achievement?
Yeah, there were several, and it was a long, slow process. But I suppose the first thing that really pushed me was a battle in Vietnam. I'd
Mm.
gone over there not because I believed in the war, not because I was a patriot. I went over there just for the risk taking. I was totally hooked on physical risks as a young person.
Oh my
And,
goodness, John.
I mean, and I'm telling you, I'm lucky to be alive. You talk about lives. I've had it 9, 12, or 15 like a cat, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, and in the middle of this battle in Vietnam, it suddenly occurred to me that a life focused just on myself, in other words, satisfying my own urges for adrenaline. Adrenaline had become my drug of choice, and I didn't give a damn about other people. I didn't give a damn about the suffering and poverty that I saw in the world. I just cared about me. And it suddenly occurred to me in the middle of that battle that my home was 6, 7,000 away. I knew the war was stupid and wrong. And I knew it was unwinnable. I was only there for myself. And how could I live a life like that? I wasn't a kid anymore. I was in around 28, 29 years old. And I realized right in the middle of that battle that if I ever got out of that battle
Mhm.
alive, I had to change.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your service. My husband is a Vietnam vet as well. So, yeah, he describes it as a life-altering time. So,
Lou, I don't think he was a vet, right? You didn't go there to fight. You were just there. Is that what you
Oh
said,
no,
John?
well, let's put it this way. I never wore the uniform,
mhm.
but I was in the most difficult, one of the most difficult and dangerous
Oh,
parts. I
okay.
was stationed just 50 miles south of the DMZ, the demarcation line
Hmm.
between North and
Oh,
South
okay.
Yeah.
Vietnam at
Yeah.
the time. And man, I never knew whether I would be alive the next day. It was a really dangerous place to be. And yeah,
Oh, okay.
and I did stuff as a civilian. It was mostly
Oh,
in
okay.
intelligence and counterintelligence work, a lot of stuff that you don't want to know about.
Oh, okay.
But I
You're
never
right.
wore the uniform, so in that sense,
Oh,
yeah.
well, thank you, Teresa, for that clarification. So, yeah, but I tell you, a lot of dangerous stuff, John. So, thanks for sharing that.
The Giraffe Heroes Project has inspired people around the world to stick their necks out. In your experience, what stops people from taking action on issues they care about? And what helps them finally move?
Teresa, I think they just get scared. They just get
Uh-huh.
scared and they don't have role models. One of the things the
Mm,
Giraffe Heroes Project does, and let me just say a word about that. First of all, it was started not by me, I'm not smart enough, but by
mhm.
my wife, my dear
Okay.
wife, Ann Medlock, who started it way back in 1982 in New York City. And the whole purpose of it was to find people who were sticking their necks out, I used to say taking risks, in order to make their world a better place. And so she would find them and she would tell their stories, get their stories told. In those days, it was fax machines and
Mhm.
paper press releases. Now, of course, it's social media. But we've been doing this for almost 45 years. Um, because we are utterly convinced that the reason more people don't stick their necks out is because there's no models to do that. In fact, there are whole kinds of models of just the others of just
Mhm.
the opposite, where people are sticking their head under the pillow. and waiting for someone else to solve the problems. And what we do with
Mm-hmm.
the Giraffe Heroes Project is say, no, no. And by the way, here's a model. Here's someone just like you. Here's someone that looks just like Teresa, or just like Lou, or just like
Mm-hmm.
John. And they're doing something brave in their community, or maybe some global issue like getting food supplies into Gaza or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're doing that, then what am I sitting on my rear end doing nothing for?
Mm-hmm.
So role models is key, and behind that, of course, people are and justifiably scared. They're risks are risk because they're risky.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, John, many people today feel overwhelmed by the scale of the global problems. So, from your decades of experience, what's one small, concrete action an individual can take that genuinely makes a difference?
I would say, speaking to your white audience, that the most important thing is to start small. It's one thing to look at global climate
Hmm.
change, for example, and say, "Oh my goodness, I
Yeah.
give up. I don't know." Or artificial intelligence. Oh, that's for, scientists. I
Hmm.
have no idea.
Hmm.
But you can always do something at the local level. For example, let's say, for example, somebody wants to ban books in your kid's school.
Hmm.
And you say, "Oh, that's a very bad idea. What the hell's wrong with Tom Sawyer? Come on."
Hmm.
And so instead of just complaining about it, you go to a school board meeting and you raise your hand and you say, "No, I don't want the school to ban books." And someone else will scream across the room, "Well, shut up and sit down." You don't shut up and sit down. You say,
Yeah.
"No, this is important. I don't want books to be banned in my kid's school." So there's that. There's maybe
Yeah.
an environmental issue, a polluted stream or a lake, or maybe a factory that's belching fumes into
Hmm.
low-income neighborhoods in your town, or problems of homelessness, where you can do something by going to a city council meeting and electing people to office who will do something about
Right.
a low-income housing in your town, whatever. So start small. Start where you can grab the problem. As my dear wife Ann says, you pick up a corner of the carpet you can pick up. And that's good
Mm.
advice. You pick
Yeah.
up
It
the
is.
corner of
It
the rug
is.
you can pick up. And
Yeah.
then if you succeed at that, well, then there's bigger challenges out there. But don't start by trying to end the war in Iran from your living room. It's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Oh, John, that is excellent advice because so many times you watch the news, you hear what's going on, and you want to help, but you feel overwhelmed by just the enormity of the issue. So that's great advice. So thanks for that.
So you've trained leaders and change makers around the world. Tell us about the qualities you see in people who successfully drive change and which qualities can be learned rather than inherited.
Hmm. Well, I guess the most important quality is they don't quit.
Mm,
They persevere because if you take risks, you're going to get flattened from time to time. You're going to lose, and you got to get back up and start over again. So perseverance is absolutely key. Compassion is another key. It's one thing to be tough, but you
mhm.
also have to understand people, understand where they're coming from, especially if they're from a part of the population that's different than you. You have to
Right.
understand what's going on with their lives and what their community is like before you can offer solutions that make any sense. So, perseverance, trust, compassion, these are all important things in leadership. And where they come from, well, I guess I could say from my mother's knee, I suppose. You could say the same things too.
Yeah.
We all learn them when we're little, but you have to sharpen them. And when you're out in the big bad world and you're trying to focus on making money or getting to the next step up in your corporate advancement or whatever, you can't forget that. You can't get swept off by the exigencies, by the things you have to deal with right away, like sending your kid to college, maybe, or
Right.
or
Right.
something like that. Of course, those things are important, but at the other hand, you can't lose the fact that the core of life is to find a life that's meaningful, and that means giving back in some way. Finding a problem you can get your handle on, that piece of the rug you can lift up, and then doing something about it.
So, John, after a lifetime of adventure, diplomacy, and activism. And with so much going on, what gives you hope right now? And what keeps you motivated to continue your work?
Well, what gives me hope is the fact that I work every day with the Giraffe Heroes Project and dealing with these remarkable people sticking their necks out. And now, since 1982, we've honored like 2 or 3 thousand of them.
Oh
And
my goodness.
each one has a story more inspiring than the next. Oh, by the way, I should say, your listeners can get there easily by going to the Giraffe website, which is very simple, just
Hmm.
giraffe.org.
Okay.
Giraffe has two F's in it. Some people don't know how to spell it.
Yeah.
Anyway, go to giraffe.org and be inspired. So a lot of it is just is being inspired by other people, and that's really important.
Hmm. Okay.
All right, John. Thank you so much for sharing. Right now, we're going to move into our fun rapid fire segment. So, and I have the pleasure of asking the first question. What's one belief you've changed your mind about in the last decade?
I suppose it's about the difficulty of getting people to change their minds. And a lot of that came up with a ruckus in this country. We know how polarized we are. It's so
Yeah.
hard to get people to change their minds, especially when they're overwhelmed with all, laws and fake news and all the rest of it. It's
Hmm.
really hard, and you have to be patient. And it's hard, it's harder than I thought.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Wow. So, John, I could only imagine in your experiences how many people you've met, brave people, but can you share with us, tell us about the bravest person you've ever met and why you consider them to be so?
I suppose, I don't know. There's so many brave people. I
Yeah.
would say Nelson Mandela
Mm,
in South Africa. I mean, it wasn't just that he was brave, sitting in jail for what, 20 years or so.
yeah.
It was that he never lost his sense of compassion, and that took real guts.
Yeah.
So when he finally got out of Robben Island, he didn't just become a revolutionary wanting to kill every white person in the country. No. He understood that his role was to create a multiracial
Yeah.
country as best he
Yeah.
could. And so he started the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. And a lot of people, including blacks in South
Hmm.
Africa, thought he was nuts,
Hmm.
that the only path was to take those awful white people and I don't know, line them up against a wall and shoot them or
Hmm.
whatever because there was so much anger,
Right.
legitimately anger.
Right.
Because
Right.
I
Right.
worked on African affairs. I knew a lot about apartheid,
Uh-huh.
and I worked hard to end it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I suppose, and the fact that he could move through all this stuff and
Yeah.
not lose his cool, so to speak, not lose
Right.
his spiritual base,
Right. Right. Yeah.
makes him a hero among heroes.
One place in the world that surprised you the most.
One place in the world, boy. I don't know about that. I don't know about that because I'm surprised. I'm never surprised. I think people are very much the same. I have a
Hmm.
hard time believing that all Iranians are evil, for example,
Hmm. Hmm.
or all the strung far right people in this country that I don't agree with politically
Hmm.
are evil just because they're from different parts of the country, whatever. So I don't have a good answer for that. I think
Hmm.
there's good in all of us. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that is some naive do-gooder. I believe
Mhm.
me, I'm tough. If you're having a serious time, you want me in your foxhole. You really do. I'm not naive, but I'm just looking around myself and saying, man, you just can't say that this bunch of people are bad and this
Yeah.
bunch of people are good. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So true. John, okay. So I have to tell you, I'm loving these answers and just really this conversation with you. John, what's a small daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Taking a deep breath, I suppose. I get somebody doesn't like one of my speeches or social media posts and I get an email or with a lot of nasty words in it and stuff, and I want to fight back and
Uh-huh.
fire back a message saying, "Why you so and so and so and so." Taking a deep breath.
Mhm.
I mean, again, it's something else your mother taught you. You just count to 10. Don't
Yeah.
don't don't hit
Don't
back
react.
right away.
Yeah.
Count to 10.
Yeah. Okay.
How about this one? A risk you're glad you took.
Oh, all of them practically. All of them
Okay.
practically.
Okay.
I suppose the one going back to South Africa. I took enormous risks to help end apartheid in South Africa. One of the things I'm proudest for in my life is that I did play a core role in ending apartheid in South
Wow.
Africa.
Yeah.
But I had to do that in many ways by double crossing my own government because my own government was captive by a whole lot of rich white people in the Senate, racist senators from the southern states who didn't want to end apartheid because they were making money off it, selling guns, for example, to the South
Mm-hmm.
African white military and police. So I had to go up against a lot of people that really wanted to get rid of me, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept going, and I'm very proud of that.
Mm, okay. Wow. Well, John, those are all of the questions we have for you, and we just appreciate your work and your taking the time to share with us today. Do you have any parting words for our audience?
I would say this, given this just a few minutes we have, I think that the most important thing for any human being is to find personal meaning in their lives, to know something that when something looks back at you in the mirror in the morning, you know you're on the planet for a purpose, that you're not just here to mark time. So you need to really struggle to find that meaning in your life and not to quit until you found something that really makes your heart sing, that you know is meaningful. And my view is that more often than not, you'll find that meaning in some kind of giving back, some kind of service, some kind of way of making life better. Whether it's fighting banning books in your kid's school or writing a letter to your congressman to do something about this idiotic war in Iran or something.
Mm-hmm.
But do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. John, thank you so much for joining us today here at Earrings Off. It has been our absolute delight to speak with you, and we wish you all the very best.
Well, I feel the same to you. I think the two of you are doing a fabulous thing. I'm glad that you're doing it. I know it's a lot of work to set up these podcasts, and it's wonderful work you're doing, and I'm very grateful to you both.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Take good care.
You too.